Alright. So you're going to need spacers. You're going to need a rolling pin. Somebody took my big one. This probably not. Alright. So you're going to make a slab. And you can start with a pretty big piece. Before you ever start this portion of the assignment, you need to make sure you know how many tiles you need and what size you need them. Okay? If you are doing a 4x6 box, how many 4x4 tiles do you need? How many? If you're doing a 4x6 box, 4x6 tall, 6 tall, 4 wide, you'll need 2 4x4s. And then you'll need the side pieces. Who? Oh, Bonnie. Okay. Bye, Bonnie. All right. So, now I notice I haven't made any incredibly loud noises, have I?
No.
I didn't think so. All right. I'm going to take this. If you don't make your tiles the thickness of these spacers, you're going to run into major trouble later. You have to use the spacers. You need your tiles to be this thick, okay, for this project. And they all need to be consistent. Tony, you might want to back up for a second.
I got it back up.
Where are you from? All right, so
Just do it.
Okay.
now I've got a little bit more clay than I need. I could probably get all of my tiles out of this.
That's a lot.
And they are pretty much this consistent all the way through, okay? All right, so what you're going to do, you're going to measure. If I've already got it written down in my sketchbook that I need 2 4x4s and 4 4x6 tiles, then that's what I need to make plus 1 of each size. Ryan, stand up. Stand. All right? So what I'm going to do is try to figure out how many can I get in there. If you have trouble with measurements and rulers and stuff, you can make yourself a template. This is not for you. You can make your own. This is for them. Do you understand? This is for Miss Mail, not for you. Okay? And then you can figure it out, and it's going to live right in here. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so you want to just kind of wipe your hand and kind of compress that clay over that. Wipe your hand over the clay and kind of compress it. You could do it with a rib or something. That's always good to do. All right, now the longer it sits here, the more it's going to stick to this. So I'm going to get going. All right, so I need to make a straight edge to start with. So I'm going to pick my longest spot. I'm just going to cut that off. And I'm going to take all this and I'm going to keep it together, wad it up so it doesn't dry out off of the fabric. And then I can start, and I'm going to make a piece this way, a right angle. If you are not good at doing right angles, then you may need to get a piece of paper and use a right angle. Let me know what I'm talking about when I say that. The corner of a piece of paper? That's right. Okay. So then I can start to measure. If I'm doing a 4x4 box, I have to measure out 4 1/4. I cannot go underneath 4 when it's finished. So if it is 4 1/4 now, it will probably be 4 inches when it is finished. Now, that doesn't mean I need to do 5 1/4 or 6 1/4 if I'm making a 5 or 6 inch box. How many people are with me? I know I just said numbers. Okay. Because why would I not need to do 6 1/4? Because it's not going to shrink below 4 inches, right? 4 inches is the minimum. That's the only reason you need to bump up a 4-inch square. Because it will shrink below 4 inches if you do a 4-inch square. With me? Okay. So I'm going to make some 4-inch squares, but I've got to do it 4 1/4, right? And if you don't know what a 1/4 inch is, you might want to figure that out. 4 1/4 and then 8 and what? Half. And then I'd have to move it because my ruler's not long enough. and then 4 1/4 again, and I've just got these marks, and then I'm going to go down this way, and I'm going to do 4 1/4, and I know another 4 1/4 is actually 8 1/2. So good. And then I ran out of room. Now, this is an opportune time to add a little bit of clay. This clay that I kept, I'm going to make it about the same thickness as this tile, and I'm going to add it very carefully, pressing it down, not trapping any air, and I'm going to blend it. I will need to blend it on both sides. Now this clay is really wet, so I can do this. And then I'm going to gently rub over it, and I'll have to blend it on the other side as well. But that, I wasn't missing a lot. I was missing a very little bit. So now I've got 4 1/4 there. All I have to do now is measure these sides. Now I've got to go in 4 1/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/4, right? Huh? I'm just doing 4 by 4 boxes. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm just trying to get them started. Yeah. All right, so now I'm going to measure down 4 1/4 again. And I'm just putting tiny little marks on here. Remember, the ruler starts at 0 down here at the very end. Okay, so I've got all these little markings. Now I can take a longer piece, line them up, hold it down in the middle, start at the edge and come across. Don't lift anything yet. The reason I'm taking the time to show you how to do this, because you would be surprised at how many people will get a big, pretty piece of clay and they'll do a 4 by 4 square right in the middle of it, when they could have gotten 3 in it, or 4 in it, or 6 in it. You know what I'm saying? So let's work smarter, not harder. Now I've got to make some measurements again because I didn't have enough, and I'm going to start from the same side every time. That way I'm getting the same measurement. If I started measuring from this end, these measurements would be off. So I have to make sure that measurement's the same on both sides. So then I can take this now, clean your needle tool every time. I am. Alright, you see that?
Excellent.
I'm just going to smile for the camera, guys. This will just be for the people that were absent. Alright, so in this one, if I need to then measure it, I can get it measured out 4 1/4. It barely fits, and that is so nice. If you are a person who would like to make a template for yourself, there is poster board over there, and there is, I'll get some more out, and there's scissors, okay? But you do not have to. Now, here's the next important part. You're going to take paper, newspapers in the little cubbies back there. Make sure your newspaper is on the fold. You won't be able to tear it like this if it's on this end. It needs to be, you know how it folds at one spot in the middle? And then you can take it, figure out the width of your clay, go straight down and cut and tear it, because you don't want a bunch of extra paper. Then I'm going to do an accordion. When I go to lift this up, I'm going to be very gentle with it. I'm going to lay it down. I don't want to distort it or stretch it out. And then I'm going to lay it over like that. And then I'm going to pick the next piece up. Notice how I'm being real gentle. At the what? Sure. And then I'm pulling this back. Now you got to make sure that one's on top of the other, because if you don't have them lined up on the edges, it happens is one goes over the edge and it deforms, and then you have to make that again. So what our goal here is to make our tiles and make sure that our tiles are drying some with this paper. It's going to get it, I've done this enough where I've kind of got it down to a science that I know that this paper will dry these tiles out by next Monday, or Tuesday if you make them today, and it'll be just right for us to use. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little scrap here. I'm not. I'm going to get another piece. Give me that. And this is too wide, so I'm just going to trim it like that. You can't cut it the other way. Alright, and then I'm going to place this down where I stopped, pick up the rest of these. See, they're getting real wet, so I'm going to have to kind of reshape them a little bit once I get them back there. And then I'll pick that one up. Make sure these aren't getting stuck. Fold it. Well, if you're doing a solid cube, top and bottom are all connected, and you cut loose later, then you'll need to make 6 plus 1, right? If you're doing where your top goes on later, you'll still need to do 5 plus 1. So, 6 plus 1 is always a good number. Because here's the deal. When we learn next week how to bevel, you're probably going to mess up. So you're going to want some extra tiles, or at least 1 or 2 extra tiles. Because beveling, this is beveling. You're going to line it up on the edge. You're going to do a 45-degree angle. And you're going to slice off the edge of it. And we're doing that because that piece, and I'm just going to kind of show you. Same thing on this one. And these will be a lot harder to cut because they'll be stiffer. But when you put your corners together, you're going to put them together on that angle like that. Because 2 45s make a 90.
Okay.
And then you're going to, that's right. Then you're going to put a coil in the middle. So the trick is, this whole project is making sure you get these tiles done neatly, correctly, in the same thickness. Okay? And all this clay right here that you're doing, if you're not immediately putting it back into a wad, you need to, this right here is technically wedging. Kneading is when you do all this right here. But we kind of just generally call it the same thing. And then that can be wedged together, okay? And you need to re-wedge your scraps if you need to use it for more clay. If you need more tiles, you just re-wedge what you've got by banging it together and getting most of those air bubbles out. I could then now re-wedge this and use it to make the rest of those until you run out of not enough. Okay? Yes, this is the assignment for today. But first, before anybody grabs clay or does anything, you need to be able to know how much you need of what. So you might need to look at your sketchbook and make a decision of how much you need. Let me show you how to bag these real quick before I forget. Will y'all give me a bag in there? I'm just got a lot of medication in it. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so once you've got your bundle, your nice, beautiful bundle of tiles, make sure they're all kind of evened up. And if you've got different sizes, say like 4x6 and a 4x4, you can do 2 different bags if you want to, or you can just put the bigger ones on bottom, as long as you're not crushing one of the tiles, you know what I'm saying? Then you're going to take them, you're going to put them in a bag, and you want to get all of the air out of them. That paper that is in there, because you don't have too much hanging over, that paper that's in there is going to absorb some of the moisture, okay? And it's going to have your tiles ready to go for us by the time I get back, okay? And then you just tie it in a knot or pull it halfway through. Now here's a very important thing. This bag looks just like the rest of these bags. What do you need to put on here? That's right, and if that was my bag, I would do it in a couple places. Because I put it on the bottom, across the top, on the side. Just because people are known to take these. Especially if it's not unique. If it's just a 4x4 tile, it's not very unique, and people want to take them. Okay? So they don't want to do their own. Alright, these are for y'all to get started with.
So whatever